Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday and happy December. Welcome back to another live. How are you doing? I hope everyone is doing well. We've got some good natural winter light coming through the window here, so we're going to try to utilize that today. Hi to everybody that's joined. If you're new here, we're talking about all things spirituality, manifestation, energetics. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comment box below. I'm happy to answer any questions. How is everyone doing? So as I was talking about in the last couple of lives, and as I was mentioning in November and October, within the December season and the holiday season, we're going to see a spike in energy. So make sure that you are in tune with the energy and the frequency that is in the air right now, and that you utilize it to help you create the life that you want and the life that you're going to love and enjoy. This is what higher consciousness and spirituality is all about. It's not about the negative or the not so great parts of it. We need to utilize it in a way that's going to help us here in the 3D world and to help us live the lives that we want. So again, try to tap into that energy, start doing something creative, start going out in nature. It's cold, but you can still go out and enjoy a lot of festivities and really tap into that joy and that cheer and that fun that is out in the collective right now, because that's going to help you feel better, look better, and to want to create and advance your life in a different way so that your 2025 looks amazing for you, whatever that is that you are trying to accomplish in the new year. Let me know if you guys have any questions or if there's anything you want me to talk about. So I kind of want to talk about 3 things that I've noticed this past week just out in the collective. And I think that as a spiritual mentor or somebody with higher consciousness, it's important to talk about things because we want to help shift the narrative that is out in the collective that may be wrong or that some people have misinterpreted or are misguiding people. And one of these narratives is that I've seen being talked about on the other app, TikTok. And it was this well-known psychic energy reader, and she was being interviewed, and they were asking her, the interviewer was asking her, do you really know who you're talking to in an energy reading or a psychic reading? Is it really demonic? And is it really someone of lower consciousness that you're talking to? And her answer was a blatant yes. She said, yes, it's demonic. Yes, you don't really know who you're talking to. And she said that, she abandoned all her divination tools and she just is not engaged with that type of work anymore. And, I was watching her interview and I thought, well, that's pretty interesting because first of all, that's not necessarily true. And second of all, for you to come on and say something like that in such a public forum is to actually minimize other people's experiences and what they've been through and where they are at. And that's something you never want to do as a spiritual mentor. You never want to minimize or downplay other people's experiences in relation to yours. And I felt like that's a lot of what she was doing. I think many of you have seen the interview. It kind of went viral, but also here's the thing, and I want to touch on this and clarify this a little bit. I'm going to break it down, so let me know if you guys have any questions. Yes, and I know from personal experience, right? Because I do energy readings, I connect with higher consciousness, and I'm able to predict things that always comes true. So yes, you are connecting to a higher level of consciousness, but that doesn't mean that it's demonic. That doesn't mean that you don't know who you're talking to. It is a combination of other factors, right? It's a combination of how skilled you are as a reader, how practiced and seasoned you are. So those are 2 different things. Being skilled as a reader can, relate to how well you're able to use the divination tools. The other one that I was talking about was being like how seasoned you are as a reader. That can do with how well and how often do you practice. How strong is your connection to source? So again, there's a lot of third factors that she did not take into consideration here. So when you are connecting with higher consciousness, or let's say you're doing a reading, yes, you're connecting to source. And as a reader, you know who you are talking to. And I can say that from experience. You know of what level they are at. So whether it is a low vibrational being that you're talking to or a high vibrational being, you know. If you don't know, then you should not be doing readings. And it's not demonic, right? You can connect to somebody. I'm not saying that you can't speak to someone or something that is demonic. You very well can. But again, most energy readers of the light, they don't do that. We don't engage with readers, or we don't engage with entities or beings or lower vibrational demonic entities, right? Nobody does that. Like, why would you want to take advice from them? You wouldn't want to. So, and as a reader, this is too, right? You know who you're talking to because you are also able to, there's certain things you have to do as a reader to connect to a higher level of consciousness. Okay, sorry, I'm just checking the comments. Let me know if you guys have any questions. There's certain things that you need to do when you're connecting to source and when you're connecting to, as a reader, to higher level of consciousness. And a lot of those things she didn't even mention, or I don't even hear a lot of people in the spiritual community talking about these things. Like, you're not just connecting to source and just opening the floodgates for everybody to come in and speak to you and talk to you and connect with you. There's certain invocations that need to be said. There's certain phrases, there's certain terms, there's certain words that need to be said. There's a certain energy that you need to be in. And you hear me talking about this a lot when I'm talking about how I'm doing energy readings, and I'm not doing it face to face with somebody. It's recorded on video and you can replay it, because I don't want those people's energies into my auric field. So it's the same thing when you're doing an energy reading or you're connecting to source. We're not inviting, I'm going to speak for myself here. I'm not inviting certain energies or entities to talk to me. I'm inviting only certain people or energies and entities that I want to speak to that are of the light. So I know who I'm connecting to. I'm using certain words. I'm using certain phrases. I'm doing certain invocations, inviting them into my auric field, into my energy, and into my consciousness in order to get the messages to relay to readers. So that is the difference here, right? So for someone to blatantly say that, yes, everything is demonic, that's not true. And I've also talked about this before. Hi to everybody that's joined. Hi, Pilates Pickleball Life. Oh my God, I love your name. Hi, with love, Ellie. How are you? Let me know if you guys have any questions. And I've talked about this before when I said, and I was talking about divination tools, right? And everyone's like, well, tarot cards are demonic, or oracle cards, or the rocks, or anything like that you're using as a divination tool. They're not demonic. They can be used for demonic things, right? But generally, that's why I say use discernment when you are going to a reader, or you are doing any type of energy work, or you're getting any type of predictions or forecasts on your life. You want to make sure that the person you're talking to and that you are engaging in service with is of the light, and that they know how to use the tools properly, right? Anything. And this isn't just limited to spirituality. Like, that's the joke, right? Anything in our world can be used for demonic purposes. It can be used for good or bad. Think about it. There's a lot of shows on Netflix that are demonic. That doesn't have anything to do with spirituality. They're promoting child sex labor. There's that one shows where I think the show was like 12 Demons or something like that. My brother was telling me about it. But there's shows like that are not of the light, that are actually demonic, and they're entering your stream of consciousness and your auric field simply by way of your TV. And then, so there are ways that it's entering your life and entering your consciousness that you may not even be aware of. So again, everything in the world, everything out here can be used for good or bad, for demonic or non-demonic purposes. It is the energy and the intention of the person who is using those tools that will determine the outcome. Does that make sense for you guys? Let me know. We're losing some of this light. I think it's going to snow. I think this might be the first snowfall. Okay, this is kind of bright. Let me just add another light. Okay, so again, I think that's okay. Actually, I don't like that glare. Let's just turn that off. So again, you want to make sure that you are having services with a person who knows what they're doing. And you have to know that and trust and listen to what they're saying and use your discernment to know that what they're telling you and who they're connecting to is of the light. And I've spoken about this before. You will know because you will feel it in your body first, right? The truth resonates at a different frequency and you will feel it. And it is the same thing as a reader who's connecting to source. We can feel it. We know who we're talking to by the way it feels, right? And also by the invocations, also by the energy that we're in when we're coming to do a reading. And I've also spoken about this before where I've said, like, I just don't do a reading at like, if someone, books a reading, I'm not just going to whip it out and do it right there on the spot. You have to be in the certain energy. I never do readings at nighttime. I never do readings when I'm in like a poor state of mind or I'm just not feeling good or I'm tired or anything like that. So again, there's a lot of things at play here. There's a lot of different factors that I felt like she did not consider in her answer, and that I'm here to shift that narrative that yes, this is demonic. Yes, that you don't know who you're talking to. That's absolutely not correct. And it really needs to be shifted into a more positive light where there are people who know exactly what they're doing. This is a skill. This is a trade. This is this is not just something that's taken very lightly. People in this field of spirituality and in this realm have gone through things, they've seen things. And yes, a lot of us don't talk about it because a lot of people aren't ready for that conversation and to hear what, is out there. But that's why I say you can't go about minimizing people's experiences because just because you've never experienced it yourself. That's just absolutely insane. To say something doesn't exist because you're not able to see it is just mind-blowing. That just really shows the lack of growth and the lack of capacity that you have as an individual to minimize someone else's experience to that extent. So again, I'm here to shift that narrative and here to tell you that, if you hear anyone saying something like that, it's absolutely not true. There are a lot of people out here who know exactly what they're doing. And, a lot of people here have been on my lives and I've said, many, many times, a lot of this is not a joke. A lot of this is not to be taken very lightly. A lot of this is, dangerous and it's scary and it can get very out of hand and out of control if you don't know what you're doing. And I always encourage people to seek guidance, seek help, ask questions, come to lives, do your own research, do your own due diligence, because that is in your best interest, right? So let me know if you guys have any questions. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is this post that I made, and the post was talking about how love is worth it and how love is the currency and current of the divine. And I think that when I say this, or when people are going to read the post, that it's very straightforward, right? And people are going to be like, yeah, okay, I get it. Love is the most important thing and love is great. And, we should all try to love each other. But I don't think that people realize the depth of that statement and the severity of that statement, because I didn't realize it. It took me almost 40 years to get it. I only literally got it like within the last couple of months, but that's not true. I've gotten it before that. Like, I felt it. So do I want to talk about this? I'll talk about it. So just to give you some context, because it may sound completely foreign to some of you, but there is a frequency of love, and it is probably like nothing you've ever experienced before. And I want to say that lightly because obviously I don't know everybody's experiences, but I'm pretty sure it's nothing like you've ever experienced before. And I think the only thing that can kind of maybe come close to it, in that some of you may understand, is like this unconditional love that your pet, for example, if you have a puppy or a kitten or a dog or something like that, that your pet has for you. And because they're of a different anatomy, they don't feel shame, they don't feel like the same emotions that we do. It's kind of a good example where they have undying or unconditional love to you no matter what you do, right, to some extent. And it's just, you just feel so much joy when you're in this presence of your animals. It's so hard to put in words, but this is kind of similar to what I'm talking about. And you see a lot of people talking about this deep-seated love when they have experiences such as, ooh, it's getting really dark. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to fix the light. It's getting really dark. Just put this one on. Okay, that's a little bit better, but not. Okay, there we go. Let's just keep it like this. So you see this too when there's people who have gone and they've done ayahuasca, let's say, or people who have, I don't know, psychedelics or something like this. They will say, and I'm sure you guys have heard of it, when they're talking about how they connect with Source in these altered states, and they feel this immense love that just overcomes them, and just, it's just so overwhelming, and that, they've healed their illnesses or they've healed injuries and stuff like that. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that deep-seated, overwhelming sense of love that is out there. And you don't need to be in an altered state, such as on drugs or ayahuasca or anything like that, to experience this. You can be experiencing this in a higher state of consciousness, like a high have experienced it, just in dream state. You can connect to Source and you can experience this type of love, and it will absolutely blow your mind. It will automatically bring you to tears when you meet God, Source, Universe. When you meet them, you will know. When you meet them, you will know. Okay? And it is like nothing you've ever experienced before. You also hear people talking about this who have near-death life experiences, right? So it's the exact same thing, right? They talk about how they've seen the light, they met God, and like, oh my God, they're back to life, and like they're just living their life. There's different situations that Source will make itself appear to you, but if you're of a higher consciousness, Source will be making itself appear to you. I don't know when, at certain times. I've met Source maybe 3 times. Yeah, maybe one. Yeah, I've met Source like 3 times. And this is what I'm talking about, this frequency and this currency that is out there, and you should try to connect to it. And again, some of the closest ways and practical ways that you can connect with it is through your animals or through the people in your life. Yes, I know that certain relationships are toxic, or certain relationships are strained or have constraints, or are not, there's different boundaries in place, or they're not ideal, or they're not maybe what you want them to be. But I'm saying, if you can always connect to that currency of love, or try to connect to it and be the bigger person. I'm not telling you to have this conversation with someone else and try to convince them of what they should do, right? Everybody has free will. But if you step up and you always come back to that place and that frequency and that energy of love within yourself, it will be better for you. It will be worth it for you. This is the currency that humanity needs to connect to. It is a currency and current that is very unfamiliar, that is very unknown. A lot of people have not experienced this type of love. A lot of people will live their lives and never experience this type of love. So this is something that the collective generally needs to work on. And it's going to be really hard, right? Because there are so many other factors at play, right? There's people's own limitations, people's own prejudice and biases and belief systems that need to be broken down in order for the general collective to get there. And we all know where the general collective is at, right? So again, this is where we need to be headed in order to see a shift in the universe. Sorry, I'm just checking this. And this is where we What is wrong with the comments? There's like an error message. Okay, and this is where we need to go as a collective. So again, keep this in mind. Try to always come back to that place of this love and this energy and this frequency. Remember that it is there, even though you may not feel it every day, it is still there. If you are wanting to connect with Source to feel this, just ask. Invite them into your life. Make the connection, and I'm sure that at some point they will become evident and you will feel what I'm talking about. So that's what I was talking about when it came to that post. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm not sure why this error message is coming up. I'm trying to figure it out. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions in the meantime while I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, so the next thing I want to briefly talk about is the concept of death. And I don't want to talk about this too much because I just feel like a lot of people are not there yet, but I want to prepare you, and I want to just give you a little bit of feedback and a little bit of what you can expect in 2025. There will be deaths in 2025. We will see, again, some sort of mass destruction, mass, I don't know what it's going to look like yet, mass illness that will affect the general collective and will result in death. And I kind of want to briefly talk about this because I know a lot of people do not do well with the concept of death. And for a long time, I didn't either. I, was so scared. Thank God my parents are still alive, but I would think so often, like, what happens when they die? Like, I'm going to be so devastated, and I'm sure I will to some extent. But I think during my spiritual awakening and after, coming to terms with a lot of the knowledge that I have a different perspective and a different outlook as to when it comes to death than I did, 10, 15 years ago. So what does that kind of look like? Oh, it's snowing. Oh my gosh, I just looked outside. It's snowing. Okay, this concept of death looks very different. I'm going to loosely paint a picture to you of what that kind of looks like. When somebody, okay, let me back up. There exists in our universe, hi Marvin Chambers Coaching, how are you? There exists in our universe a place that I'm going to call the void, okay? And you can think of the void as a dark space or dark matter, right? It is, you cannot see it here in the 3D. It exists out in the universe. So there is this place of the void. And when people die, this is where they go. And obviously their human body's not going there, right? Their human body is in earth, in their grave, or they're cremated or whatever. But their spirit goes to this place, which is called the void. And what exists in the void is the essence of who they are. It is the fragments of them. For example, all of their memories, all of their experiences, all of their joy, all of their happiness, and also a lot of the bad parts of them. They exist in the mind's eye of God in this void. So, are they technically gone? Yes, their physical body in the 3D world here on earth is gone, but them as a person, as an entity, as a being is not gone. They exist in this void. So for example, when you're having energy readers who are connecting to your loved ones, we're connecting to the void, and that's how we're able to talk to them and get the messages. And that's why I often say it's kind of like this game, broken telephone, because there's not a direct link, right? There's a direct link, but because there's so much density between the different realms, the conversation is broken. The conversation is very fragmented. So it's not a clear line as you think it would be. It's not like, hey, I'm calling up my grandfather, what's going on today? It doesn't work like that, right? It's just the messages come through in a different way. So yes, they exist in this void, and they are, the essence of them, the spirit of them is in this void. And they are still within this realm and this collective of the universe, which we all belong to. As I've mentioned before, it's this, you need to start thinking of it as not as separate. Like, here's source, here's God, universe, whatever you want to call it. Here are we, here are the animals, here are the plants. It's a very much a living organism. And I like to use the term an ecosystem because it's an ecosystem that plays off of each other. So even though we have our loved ones, again, who are in this void, they are there, but they are also connected with us. We are them and they are us, right? Because we all exist in this one moving ecosystem. That's how it works. Everything is of each other. So we are them and they are us. So we can always have that connection with them. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense to you guys. The sweater's itching me, but let me know if that makes sense to you guys. So that's where they are when death happens, right? And a lot of people get so confused by that because they think they're, and I understand, like I understand the, you know, the trauma and the grief that comes along with not having the person there in their physical body, right? And not being able to see them every day. I completely understand that. I get that. But, and I think this is where it started to shift for me when I started to learn and understand that. So I'm just getting different light. When I started to learn and understand that this is a very different, let's just take this one off. Perfect. This is a very different dynamic, and this is a very different relationship that you need to start to learn to have with them. You need to start to connect with your loved ones and people who have passed in a different way and in a different manner. It's a relationship unlike any other relationship that you will have, and you need to develop it. You need to work on it, and you need to cultivate it so that it becomes a relationship that can still support you, but it's in a different way because they're not here in the 3D world. Does that make sense for you guys? Let me know. So again, they're there. You just need to learn to navigate this different relationship. And it's going to be very hard for you to do that if you are in a lower vibration. Let's just put it that way. You need to be in a higher vibration to do this. And I think that's all I want to say about it right now. I think that it's a very loaded topic. I think people still won't quite get it, and it's still, I think people will understand the concept as I've explained it here, but I think that it needs to be further fleshed out, and I don't think that a lot of people can understand the fleshing out of it because they're just not there yet. So I'm going to leave it as that. Let me know if you guys want to chat about anything else. I have a lot more things that I want to talk about in the upcoming lives, but I'm always happy to take your suggestions or if you guys need clarifications about anything. That's a lot. I'm going to kind of leave this live here. I know it's a really busy season for everybody during the holidays, but again, keep your vibration up, keep yourself really grounded, stay focused on what you want to accomplish for the new year. I am going to be increasing the price of energy readings. You should book an energy reading before the new year. It will help you greatly. I've talked about this before, but I want to kind of just highlight what are the importance of energy readings. Energy readings are me showing you the doors that you can't see. How come I'm able to see the doors that you can't see? Because I know how to use divination tools and connect to higher consciousness. I'm trained in it. It is up to you if you want to walk through the doors, right? I can read any energy of the past, the present, and the future. Some of what I say is hard for you to understand. Some of it will be truth where you cannot come to terms with. So you have to be ready for an energy reading. I don't ever force energy readings on anybody. Never go to a reader who's doing that or pushing you or pressuring you to do something like that. It is always on your own terms and when you feel called to have a reading, because that is when you're ready to hear the things that are going to come forth for you. So again, if you feel like you would like an energy reading, just DM me or send me a message or email alignedtocreate@gmail.com. If you don't feel like you're ready for something like that and you want something a little bit more advanced, then book a private mentoring session. There's a link in the bio. Just fill out the form and someone from our team will contact you. You can come to the weekly lives. We're live every Sunday at 2 p.m. here to answer all of your questions. Feel free to bring them and you can watch the replay. It's posted on Instagram. The replay is also posted and backed up on our YouTube channel, so you can watch it there. You don't even need to sit and watch it. Just run it in the background. Join our email list. That is going to be starting up soon. Just fill the link in bio. Fill in your information. It takes less than 5 minutes and we will get the emails out to you. There's a lot of important tips and tricks and tools in there for you and resources. And it's free. A lot of what I'm giving to you guys is free. So you have to show up and do the work as well, right? And we're live again every Sunday, 2 o'clock. We're on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Find us, and I will see you next week, Sunday at 2 o'clock p.m. for the next live. Enjoy this December. Enjoy the first snowfall if it's in the city where you're at. And let me know if you guys have any questions. Bye.